Maxie.
Lukey.
What's up, man?
I'm just hanging out in the beautiful mountains of Colorado.
What are you doing over there?
Yeah, this thing called graduate banking school.
Graduate banking school. That sounds
That's
fun.
right. It is. It's just it's a blast. No, I think it sounds a little bit more professional than than maybe it is. But
Max
but no,
is going back to college.
That's right.
Go to class,
Back
Max.
to school.
Go to class. Yeah. Don't skip class. You think you'll gain 15
Kidding
pounds?
me?
Is this your first semester? Are you gonna gain a little weight?
No. Dude, I actually lost weight my first semester of college.
I did too.
I don't know what that was, but
I have a theory.
No more mama's cooking?
Well, no, because you basically had unlimited food at the buffets and stuff. I think I went in, I just wrapped up my basically athletics career for the rest of my life. I was done. I stopped exercising, but I was at a point where I've heard that muscle weighs a little bit more than fat. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
And I didn't.
Yeah. Are you trying to kind of humble brag right now?
Well, listen,
are you throwing in how ridiculously strong maybe you used to be?
Yeah. Is that even bragging? No, it's.
I don't know.
I didn't have much muscle, but I think what I had, I lost 100% of it, or maybe like 98, and that's where all that weight went. And then my second semester, I put on like 30 pounds, so I made up for it.
Okay, well that's good.
Yeah.
I'm sure I think I got mine later in college, and we all come back to equilibrium, right?
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah. Well, this is our first time doing something over the phone together. Yeah. But I think we're set up for success here.
I know. Gosh, just miss seeing your beautiful face, Luke.
I know, man.
Tough to do this over the phone.
Would you rather see my face or those beautiful mountains?
I mean, the mountains are pretty awesome. So,
are there actually mountains? So you're in Boulder, correct?
Yeah, I'm in Boulder, and it's like right at the foot of they call them the Flatirons. So, yeah, I mean, I walk out my room and I can see the mountains. It's beautiful.
I've heard the real estate market in Boulder is just crazy.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody yesterday even about that. We were talking about how, so this college I'm on the University of Colorado campus. So the college campus, and, we stay in dorm rooms and that kind of stuff. But we're talking about how valuable this real estate is that we're sitting on,
right?
And how this has got to be one of the largest college campuses I've ever seen or been on. I mean, it is. Oh yeah, it expands miles.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge and beautiful too. But yeah, how unbelievably valuable this real estate is would be pretty hard to comprehend. But
yeah,
all used for higher education, which is a great thing to do.
Yeah, I've got some friends who are moving out there next year, I think, and they were, already looking ahead to, where they'll live, and it's like you get an 800 square foot home for $400 a foot or whatever that was built 50 years ago. It's kind of like LA in a way, where there's just not a lot of it and a lot of people who want to be there or have to be there. So
they got a pretty hard natural landmark that you can't really go past with the mountains there. So
yeah.
Makes some sense.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I kind of want to talk about banking school today, if you're good with that.
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is going to be very genuine because I don't know a whole lot about banking school myself. So I'm just going to ask a couple questions, starting with kind of what your experience has been. I know that this is your second year or second summer, second 2-week period that you've been there. Let the listeners know what banking school is, and I would love to learn as well.
Yeah. I mean, the premise of it is basically it's a 3-year program that are kind of broken up into 2-week sessions every year, and they typically reside for this specific school that I go to, the Graduate School of Banking at Colorado, it resides in the last 2 weeks of July every year. So, like you said, this is my second session. So I don't know if that makes me a rising junior or a sophomore or whatever that is, but you to further educate yourself, in a more detailed and more specific environment. In my undergraduate degree, I got in banking and finance. You really don't kind of get into your banking classes until maybe the last year, until your senior year, and maybe even like your last couple of semesters. And so this really just kind of provides a great opportunity for further education after you've got a couple of years of work experience and you kind of have an understanding of the banking environment, and being able to kind of drill down into specifics of what's being called for in the industry, both from a learning perspective and then also things that are very applicable to the job that you may do now. And so it's not a degree. Let me specify. It is a certificate. And so it's not quite, it's not quite like an MBA or anything like that. But it's been really, really a great opportunity to do. It's just very insightful. It's kind of fun to get around a bunch of people that are in the same profession, and you got a lot of commonalities and things that you talk about. And there's folks that are here from all over. I mean, there's folks that are here from Mexico to Washington State, a couple of people here from Vermont and Maine, and then kind of obviously over the Midwest area, are the majority of people being located closer to Colorado. So.
Yeah. One of my questions, I mean, you think of, I just found it a little interesting that it's a certificate. It's not necessarily a degree, although it's taught on a college campus. Because I know that there are certain degrees, even here at the U of A in the Sam Walton Business College, that have banking focuses, right? Is that the degree that you pursued in your undergrad?
Yeah, that was what I pursued in undergrad.
Yeah. What kind of content are you guys going through? Is it a history of here's kind of how this is worked out before, looking at case studies? Are you looking at the future of banking or learning new ways to underwrite loans, new formulas, new math? Give us kind of an idea of what kind of content y'all are going through.
Yeah, I mean, the short answer is yes to all of that. So you take pretty much 4 classes a day, and each class provides a different topic or a different subject. And so some of them, can kind of work with each other, but for the most part, it's pretty unique. I mean, it spans the entire industry of banking. So it's not just, like a linear focus on a lending specifically or on, the operational side. It really paints a broad stroke over the whole industry. And so you're absorbing a lot of information because it's only 2 weeks worth of classes. But, a good instance was last year I had a couple classes, one on asset liability management, which kind of deals with, just how a bank is managing, their assets versus their liabilities and how the balance sheet is sort of put together. And then you've got another class that may be totally technology focused on how banks are currently using technology, what is out there for banks, and just kind of discussing what seems to make sense, what doesn't make sense. And they bring in professionals, obviously, from the industry. So you may be being taught by folks that are actually working at a bank. So they've got some experience, and that kind of stuff. And then you've got a lot of vendors that work with banks specifically, and they may have, and that may be some of the teachers as well. And so my classes today my first class was organizational culture, right, which is nothing like any of the other 2 classes that I talked about previously. And then I've got one on data analytics this afternoon. And so, it just really kind of runs a broad stroke of everything. So you absorb a lot of information, and you go over case studies of bank financials from previous banks and, what they did right, what they did wrong, what management may have done to affect a certain thing, how they grew well or how they didn't grow well. So there's a lot. It's definitely a lot, and you're pretty wiped after 2 weeks,
Yeah.
but it's really, really great information, and I've thoroughly enjoyed being part of it. So
Yeah. Well, you're only on day 2, so we'll see what you say by next Friday. But
it does take a little while to get back into the class routine.
Yeah, I bet.
So
you're staying in a dorm, right?
Yeah. So I'm staying on campus.
You got a roommate?
I do. I have a roommate. This is a college experience, man.
So banking school is just a way for middle-aged Americans to go back and try to relive their glory days, basically.
Well, I won't say there aren't some that treat it with the full college experience.
Yeah. You're in bed by what, 8:30 or 9?
Oh my gosh.
Mountain time, of course.
9:30. I'm wiped.
But you're on vacation from being a dad, so you got to catch up.
Yeah, I'm getting my full 8 to 9 hours. There's no doubt about that.
Good for you.
Yeah, there's definitely some folks that take advantage of the college experience, and it's pretty funny. That 8 o'clock class comes pretty early for some people. So,
do you get in trouble if you miss class?
I mean,
you paid for it. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. Yeah, you paid for it. You kind of you get what you put in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
is this certificate? Is it a participation trophy, or are you going to have to take a little test at the end of all this?
Well, I mean,
be honest.
We have tests, and we have like projects,
personality
and stuff.
tests,
We get
Enneagram.
We get graded. I mean, if you fail your project, so you have projects during the rest of the year when you're not here.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, and so I've got a year of projects down, but I mean, if you fail them, you have to. I don't know if you have to retake that year or
you get held back
or what. Yeah, that would be tough. I'm sure it's happened. But not a great thing to do.
You're not going to find out what happens if you fail, right?
Yeah, I don't know how you, most of the time this is paid by your employer. I don't know how you would have that conversation with your employer. Like, hey, I appreciate you sending me over to school. I actually failed. So
I was actually just, in Denver hanging out all week, so I didn't go to class. Did you have to apply to go?
Yeah, there's an application process. I assume they accept most folks.
Yeah.
It's kind of one of those things. I'm sure if you can pay, they'll let you come.
Yeah.
And there's several of these across the nation. So
right.
The one I'm in is in Colorado. There's one in Philadelphia, one in Madison, Wisconsin. I think there's one in Seattle and one in Dallas, Baton Rouge. So all pretty much on college campuses.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think old Coach O was walking around the banking folks there for a little while?
They probably,
hanging out.
Yeah, they kept him away from all the visitors who were there for 2 weeks.
He's probably hanging out at the bars with those guys. I'm sure.
Yeah, that'd be if I sent somebody off to banking school and they came back, they're like, hey, sorry, I missed one class. I was hanging out with Coach O at a bar. I'd be like, all right, that's fine. I'll let it slide.
We had a whole thing of jambalaya together.
Yeah. We had a crawfish boil and everything.
That's right. I mean, that's a full experience.
Yeah.
Speaking of coaches, you know who's the head coach here, right?
I do.
Coach Prime, baby.
Coach Prime.
I was walking by the stadium yesterday, and I was trying to see if he was parked by the stadium. I assumed it would be pretty easy to tell which car was his, but I did not. At least he wasn't driving what I think he would be driving if he was there.
Yeah,
so.
He wasn't in the
Toyota Corolla. I got another week and a half though, so
okay,
maybe we'll get some time to hang out.
I think he's been wearing a cowboy hat recently, so look for him in the if you see a cowboy hat, that's probably him.
Oh, I think I'll be able to tell Coach Brown. He's pretty popular.
He is popular. Yeah, just look for the paparazzi.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. I think a question that I've got kind of to wrap up banking school, unless you've got anything else, is what its place is inside the banking sector. I've got a job at a bank and I've never been to banking school. There's plenty of people, I would say the majority of people in the banking industry who don't or haven't been to banking school or don't
Yeah.
go to banking school maybe ever. And so it kind of reminds me a little bit from what you've told me of like a seminary for believers who go off to get some form of higher education, but it's not necessarily a prerequisite to have a job at all. But it definitely equips you to kind of propel yourself to a higher status or maybe just have a deeper knowledge of whatever you're studying. And so kind of give me your take on what its place is in banking.
First of all, I love the comment that I get when I tell people I'm going to banking school. They're like, I thought you already knew about banking. Every time, it's the exact same response.
Yeah.
So, yes, it is not a prerequisite to be a banker by any means. It, in my opinion, is basically the ability for you to have some further education in a field that you feel pretty strongly that you're going to be in for a while, right?
Right.
And that you have some sort of career in mind that you want to be in banking, that the organization that you work for and that sends you has some pretty good understanding that you'll be, that they want to invest in you, that they want to provide additional opportunities for you to learn about all the different facets of a bank and to just kind of be able to prepare yourself for a potential leadership position, a potential management position within the bank, but also be able to bring that knowledge back to the bank.
Right.
And only make your respective bank, better in that form of fashion. And so, and obviously if they're investing in you, they assume that you're going to be there with them, with that specific bank. And so, just kind of trying to propel your career and give you an opportunity to grow even further.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of interesting because when you think of school, most of the time it's something that you do, before you enter a specific field. But with banking school, for you, I mean, you've been in banking for
5 years.
5 years. You've got kind of a preconceived notion of how things ought to be. And so I bet it's super interesting for, like you said, internationally, people are pooling together. And I know it's probably not like a Socratic seminar where everybody's pitching in their own ideas, but you've got teachers from all over, from all different backgrounds and banks and regions that you're getting to learn from. And so that part's pretty cool, or I imagine it would be cool to be able to hear from everybody when, you've already got a couple of years under your belt on, how your specific bank operates.
I think that's an important point is you kind of got to know a little bit about your bank and what your bank does and doesn't do to participate in the conversation. Not that that's something you have to do, but it definitely helps. It helps you provide, good context in the conversation. And, it's been awesome. I mean, I've met some really, really cool people from all over the nation and Mexico as well. And it's a great networking place as well, just to kind of have contacts as you leave the school. And it's neat. It's a really neat environment, kind of test your bank and see where you're at too from a bank specific standpoint there.
Right. What's been the icebreaker this week? You walk up and meet somebody. Hey, I'm Max Harrell, blah, blah, blah. They're asking, oh, cool, where are you from? Or where are you working? Or is that the first question? People are like, where are you from?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty typical, right? In like a professional environment. Where are you from?
What's your position?
What's the name of your bank? What's your position at the bank? In the industry today, it's just like last year was a little different because we just had not had all the significant rate increases and, the economy was just in a little bit different spot. So we didn't ask as much about, hey, how's your bank doing? That kind of stuff. That's been a little bit more of a conversation this week. Hey, how's your bank doing? Are you guys in a good position right now? So we talked about that a little bit more.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, I don't have like a great icebreaker.
That's been super frequent. Okay, I got one last question.
Yeah.
I know you've only been there for a day, and you probably it was probably a syllabus day, so you probably didn't go over much. But what's the most important thing you've learned? It could be from your last year as well. I'll include last year, but what's been the something that you've learned just real quick that's kind of changed the way you think about banking?
Whew, man, thanks for at least letting me warm up before you just threw that gauntlet down.
Or were you jet lagged? And if you were jet lagged, I'll let it slide.
I'll tell you one thing that's interesting that we've talked about a little bit is we've had a pretty cool strategic planning class. So strategic plan being, your plan for the year and how it kind of evolves and changes for the bank specifically as a whole. And kind of talking about how you set, and this makes sense, right? But setting a goal, working back from that goal instead of trying to work towards the goal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like kind of having an understanding of, hey, this is where I'd like to be in 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years. But instead of trying to format a plan of, working towards that goal, you set the goal and you work backwards from there and say, okay, well, I have to be here by this point if I'm going to make it to my end goal in 3 years. So I'm sure that's probably pretty common knowledge for some folks, but from strategic planning standpoint, it's hard to do that when you're dealing with a lot of day-to-day stuff. And so being able to kind of take your mind and kind of paint a little bit more of a broad stroke behind it as you can kind of look at it from backwards to forward. So that was pretty cool. I just kind of like that thought and some of the other things that come with that on, if you can't meet that goal, why not? And what is your plan from there? How does your bank management take that if you can't get to that goal? Is it time to sell, or is it time to do something different? So,
right.
It's kind of a harsh reality, but it was pretty strong hammer on day one. So,
yeah. Well, I'm sure that rang true for you. For those of you who don't know, Max just stepped into a new role as our Chief Growth Officer. So that kind of sounds a little bit on the path of what you'll be doing and kind of projecting our future and trying to meet those goals. So congratulations, by the way.
Pretty good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, I think that's a good wrap on banking school. We got a lot of great feedback from our last segment on buy or bye-bye. So we're going to get into a little bit of that. For those of you who don't know, buy or bye-bye, are we going to be buying this trend, this person, this kind of topic that we're going to lay out there, or are we going to say bye-bye and say goodbye, you're out of here, you're on the downward trend? So are we going up, or are we going to the moon, or are we on the way down? So here we go. You already brought him up. Deion Sanders.
I'm here in his kingdom. I gotta buy it, right?
You got to
buy Coach Prime. I think they're making a bowl this year.
Whoa!
And I think he's going to be the head coach at Florida State in the next 2 years.
Whoa. That's a big buy. That's all your savings. Man. You're not going to have any.
I'm putting the chips. I'm cashing in, brother. I'm putting the chips on the table.
You're not going to have any chips to buy any of these other things we're going to talk about with that kind of statement.
That's right.
Okay.
I know. I'm really hoping to run into him, man. That would just be awesome.
It would be
so maybe
awesome.
That's kind of part of it. So.
He is a figure. I don't know. We've just never seen anything like it. So I'm hoping he does well. We're rooting for you, Prime. If you're listening, we're rooting for you.
That's right.
It will be tough. I think everybody at least needs to give him a year of grace moving to the Pac-12 to probably the bottom of the Power 5 conferences, but still need to give him a grace period. And then year 2 is when we really decide buy or bye-bye. But how can you not be on the buy train there? So, Coach Prime, we're in.
Coach Prime, let's do this.
Okay, here we go. Buy or bye-bye, Barbieheimer. We'll just
I mean,
break it
those
down
are two of the
individually.
most
We'll break
different movies that
Let's
you
break
can
it
put
down
together.
individually. I didn't do it. The Gen Z did it. Like, which I guess is me. But
Yeah, I was about to say.
are you buying the Barbie movie? Are you in or out?
I mean, it's gonna be great.
It's gonna be
Yes, it's gonna be
huge.
a good movie. It's gonna go crazy. Yes, I mean you gotta buy. I mean you gotta buy both movies. I just don't.
All right.
Why are we comparing these things? Can they not be individual themselves and just like be great individually?
Well, that's the
Because they
thing. I think
they
they're
both will
both
be.
they're both just on this pedestal of like these are the two best movies coming out this summer, maybe the year. They're coming out on the same
Yeah,
day. Like I don't remember this much like PR
hype train,
hype
man.
train for a movie in a long time. And so
Yeah.
maybe that's because also we got this wrong. The writers are still on strike.
We're having to correct ourselves.
Yeah, we're already having
Well,
to. And
you know the actors are
the
on strike.
actors are
Yeah.
too. So maybe
Yeah,
that's what everybody's doing. Is
we're not gonna have another movie for like 10
I
years.
know. So maybe that's the studio's thought as well. We've got nothing else in the pipeline. These two better go crazy. So, but yeah, I'm in on both. I've got
All
my
right.
tickets for Oppenheimer and then Barbie. Well, I'll get around to it.
Barbie feels like one of those movies I'll just probably watch at home and won't tell anybody about it.
I could see that. I could see myself doing that too.
But I feel like you gotta watch it though, because it could be really good.
I think it will be. Okay, last one. If I said the Razorbacks will win 8 games or more, are you buying that or are you saying bye-bye?
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me. I have too much emotional damage from them.
8 wins. We were 6-6 in the regular season last year, 7-6 after.
I'm buying it. I'm buying it.
All right.
I'm buying it. I think we hit 8 wins. I think
8 wins on the dot.
You said 8 or over, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. 8.5 is more of a tricky decision because I think 8's attainable.
Yeah, I think 8's attainable. Ooh, 9
but
would be
maybe
tough.
not. 8's tough too. Man, last year we lost 4 games by a combined 9 points. I think that's the stat. LSU was 3 points. Liberty was 2 points. A&M was 3 points. Who else was it? We lost somebody really close.
Did you say Liberty?
Liberty was 2 points, 2-point conversion. Or maybe that was 1 point.
I can't remember.
We were very close to being pretty good.
Missouri, right?
Missouri was close. So
yeah.
I don't know, man.
Oh gosh,
I'm
now
buying
you're gonna have
as
me
well.
pondering all day. I'm gonna be thinking about it all day.
Hey, we're close. August is around the corner, and then boom, Labor Day. We're starting out in War Memorial.
Well, go Hogs and go Buffs.
Go Hogs, go Buffs, go banking school.
There we go.
All right, man. Well, enjoy your 2 weeks out there. Come back and teach us something.
We'll do. I appreciate it. Good to talk to you, brother.
All right. You have fun. Talk to you later.